Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be making Senator Isiago style for our prince today. I said to share with you guys my ideas on this. If it's something you are interested in, please keep watching and watch to the end. Hit on the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Welcome. If this is your first time of stopping by, I say welcome. You are highly welcome. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit on the subscribe button. To my old subscribers, I say thank you very much for all your support. I really appreciate them. So for this style, I'll be starting off by cutting out the fabric that I need, and because we are going to cut the back and the front together. So what I'm marking here is to make sure that I have enough fabric for my if the child bust is bigger than the tummy, you can use the bust, but if the tummy is bigger than the chest, use the tummy measurement. So what I marked there is my measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches. That's 1.5 inches plus 2 inches allowance. That's about 3.5 inches. Then I marked my length plus 3 inches allowance. That's what I marked here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Then I'm going to use the same front measurement to cut the back one. The same thing. The only difference is the back one is longer than the front one by 1.5 inches. That's what I just showed you there. And I'm going to cut the both of them exactly the same measurement, just the 1.5 inches allowance for the back. Then for the slit by the side, I'm going to go up by 5 inches. I will advise you go up more. I think the 5 inches is not giving. Go up more, and for it you can use about 7 inches depending on how tall your child is. Then that's what I marked, plus then I marked 2 inches allowance that I added earlier for this. That's what I just marked out now, and so that I don't include it to what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to pull the front one up to match the upper the back one at the upper side of it. So I just hope you can see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to mark 1.5 inches shoulder slope and then slant it to meet where the fabric starts. So after marking the 1.5 inches, I had to cut it out, then move the fabric downward to match the end of the back one. Then the space that is there, the 1.5 space, is going to be at the upper side just like it was at the initial stage. Then I marked half inch at the front bodies, because I want that half inch is where the back one will be meeting it. So that's what I marked, and then I'm going to fold the back one to meet it at that half inch. You can either iron this down or you can pin it down. I pinned it down. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement. All my measurements are going to be in the description box. So I marked my shoulder measurement, and that my shoulder measurement divided by 2 is what I'm going to go down with for my armhole depth, and that's what I just marked. I'm going to go ahead and connect the line. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my bust measurement at my armhole line, divided by 4. The bust measurement divided by 4. Then I added 1.5 inches allowance. You can add as much as you want, but because this is my son and I know that what I'm marking, I'm not going to get it wrong, or I'm not going to need much adjustment. I added just 1.5 inch. That's half inch for ease, or 1 inch for ease. Then the other one is for just for allowance. Then for the armhole, front armhole, I'm going to get the center. Then from that center I'll mark half inch inward. That is going to be serve for the front body's armhole. Then I connected the lines and all the lines. Then for the cutting, I didn't show you guys when I was cutting the armhole. For the cutting, you're going to cut the back armhole first, then separate it before cutting the front armhole. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So for the neckline, I'm going to, what I did is to measure the round neckline, how tight or loose you want it to be, then divide the neckline by 6 inches. And because we are going to stitch this the neckline round, so while stitching you're going to use some inches to stitch it down. So after dividing the neckline by 6 inches, I deducted 0.25 inches from what I got, and that is what I'm going to use to mark the neckline. For instance, if I divided it and I have 2.5, I'm going to remove 0.25 to it and then mark the remaining one. After marking, I'm going to make a C facing the end of the beginning of the fabric, just like I showed you. You're going to make something like a C, not more like it's just a C. When you look at it, you see what I'm trying to say. So for the cutting, I'm going to cut the front one first. You're going to raise the front bodies up. Don't make the mistake of cutting both of them together. That's the back and the front together. You raise the front up, cut that one first, then you can now go ahead and cut the back bodies. When you look at the video, you understand what I'm trying to say more. So you carefully cut this out. If there's any sharp edge at the end of the fabric, you as well trim that off, just like I'm doing now. Just make sure it has a very neat curvy C shape kind of. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut the remaining part of the bodies. Okay, for the armhole, I'm going to cut the 2 armholes together. I do not do any special occasion for the armholes, and so I'm going to cut it together. I'm just making sure that what I have is enough for my armhole plus 2 inches allowance for it. So that's what I'm trying to mark foot there. So after getting it, I'm going to mark my armhole, then attach my 2 inches allowance. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark the armhole length as well, and also added 2 inches allowance to it. Then for the armhole cap side, I'm going to go down. Okay, I made a line just for you guys to see what I'm trying to do. Nothing more. Nothing serious. Then I'm going to go down 3 inches for the armhole cap side, 3 inches there. Then I make something like and something like S. If you have your armhole curve, you can use this. It will be easier for you. But if you don't have, just look at it, look like S that is long. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. That's how you're going to draw it, and then that's all. You cut it out. And the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my facing. Should I call it facing? Yes, I don't know. The people that are into men styles will know better what is being called. So to cut it out, my fabric is in fold, and whatever you're going to fold, make sure that is enough for the length of wherever you want it to end, and also to cover up to the end of the shoulder, that's to the armhole. So I'm going to go ahead and trace my neckline, my armhole line out, even the shoulder out. I don't have to start recutting it. Then I made a slant to give it like a V curve. This is just to give it a little bit of design. There's nothing serious here, or you can just make it straight or curve, anyone that you want, any design that you want. And this is after cutting it. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other bodies. Then for this stitching part, I'm going to go ahead and place the neckline matching each other. You can place right side facing right or wrong side facing right, whichever you want. And then after stitching it down, I'm going to notch this and then turn it to the
If you
other
haven't
side.
subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Please hit on the subscribe button and share my family to family and friends. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up.
After turning it to the other side, what I'm going to do next is to arrange this well. You can go ahead and iron this down, the neckline down, then arrange it well and use your pin to hold the facing to make sure it doesn't move while stitching it. After holding it, I'm going to fold the rough edges of the stitches, just the down part of it, by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to fold this down, and then stitch it all the way. When I got to the center V, I'm going to turn to the other side and then fold it and stitch that one down as well. So the next step we are going to go into now is to make the placket, or whichever is being called. So for this, I'm not going to go to the normal way, you know, with the way they make a long tutorial of placket. This is just a simple one. So what I did is to get the center of the bodies, then mark 1/2 inch to these two sides of the center. So for here, I'm going to go up by 1/2 inch as well, and then make a slant to meet the end of it. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So for all round is 1/2 inch there. So I made a V shape there, and the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this open from the center I made earlier. So when you make your center, from there you mark 1/2 inch to the two side of it. Then also for the down part, you mark 1/2 inch upward and then cut it out. That V, it will help it to open up well. So for the next thing I'm going to do is to measure this. For here I have about 7.5 inches times 2 because you have two sides. Then for this, that where I just measured now, I have about 1 inch. So I'm going to, whatever I have, that's about 16 inches, I'm going to add like 2 inches allowance for folding in. Then for the width, I have 2.5 inches in fold, and then I folded two 1/2 inch inward and then ironed it down. I don't know if you understand, but just look at the video, you're going to understand it. So to stitch this down, I'm going to, the 1/2 inch we marked earlier is what we're going to use to stitch this down. So you're going to place the bodies into the fabric, the black fabric that I cut out, and then at that 1/2 inch line is where I'm going to stitch down. Then at that center, make sure you open it well while stitching, so that it doesn't, just like this, just so that it doesn't have any bulge there. So after stitching it down, I'm going to close this up, then arrange it the way I'm doing now, for it to have something like a V shape at that end. And then I'm going to stitch this like a little bit block, just I'm showing you now. That's where you're going to stitch it. And then fold in the area at the area at the neckline, fold it in to match the neckline, and then stitch that one down as well. The next thing I'm going to do is to place the bodies together, front facing front, and then stitch my shoulder, the two shoulders together. After stitching it down, the next thing I'm going to do is to go to my armhole, then stitch the down part of the armhole first for the two armhole. Then after stitching it down, at first I wanted to get the center and then get the center to attach it to this, to the shoulder, but I remember that the back one is longer than the front, so it's not going to work. What I'm going to do is just to start stitching it down from where it started, from where the armhole starts to where it ends, because you know that when we are folding, when we are cutting, the back armhole is longer than the front armhole. So if you match it center to center, it's not going to align at the end of the day. So what you're going to do is just to stitch it from one end to the other. I discovered this when I was stitching it down, so I had to lose it, and before then I've already made this video and for I've already made this video, so that's what I'm trying to correct. You're going to stitch from one end to the other. So this is it after stitching it down, the armhole down. The next thing I'm going to do is to place the front facing the front. So I'm going to place the front bodice, the front facing the front, and then from the sleeve I'm going to stitch this down all the way to where the slit is going to start from, just where I'm showing you now. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side of the bodice. Then after stitching it down, this is how it's looking. The next thing I'm going to do is to stitch the slit cover, that inches, that 2 inches that I added. I'm going to fold this in just like I'm doing now. I said to open it so that you guys will see what I'm doing. I'm going to stitch from one end, then at that center part I'm going to give it a little bit of extra stitch there so it doesn't start losing or whatever. Then stitch it all the way just like I showed you round. And this is it after stitching the two sides of the bodies. The next thing I'm going to do is to fold the rough edges of the down of the bodies, the down part of it. And that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Don't forget to share my videos, family and friends. I hope I did justice to this senator wear. It's not my special area, but I think I did justice. And then for the placket, I'm going to attach pressing button there to to just like you want to attach a button, a normal button, but it's just a pressing button there. And that's all for this time, and I will see you in my next video.